All right, with Ecclesiastes chapter 4, we get a continuation of this contrast of doing good in life and doing bad in life, basically, of like evil in life. So interesting is he is looking back on his life, this old man saying, here's what I learned. From my perspective now, I wish I would have done a lot of things different in my life. And here's some things I wish I would have done different. So in a way, it is kind of a pessimistic view, but I think there's some wisdom we get to learn in this and understanding that while he's like, man, I wish I could go back and redo my life. I would have changed so much. Now that I understand what really is important and what is not important, my life would have been different. So he's trying to teach us, don't do as I did, do as I wish I had done, basically. So verse 1, so I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold the tears of such as were oppressed, that they had no comforter, and on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter. Wherefore I praised the dead which are already dead more than the living which are yet alive. Yea, better is he than both they, which hath not yet been, who hath not seen the evil work that is done under the sun. So he's saying basically the people that are oppressed have no comforter. There's no hope for them. The people who are the oppressors have all the power. So he sees this inequality in society. And he says, I kind of am envious of those who died because they're free of this mess. In fact, better than those are the ones who have not been born. Hopefully they won't be born, because if they are born, they're going to have to live with this crazy mess that's down here. The world is wicked. It's gone bad. And it's a sad world to live in. That's kind of the theme he's getting at here. So verse 4, again, I considered all travail and every right work, for for this a man is envied of his neighbor. This also is vanity and vexation of spirit. So again, trying to be better than the Joneses doesn't cut it. It's not really valuable in life. Verse 5, the fool foldeth his hands together and eateth his own flesh. Better is an handful with quietness than both the hands full with travail and vexation of spirit. Now that sounds strange. Why would a fool eat himself and want to eat himself more? This is probably not necessarily literally, but more figurative of understanding that fools have a tendency to cause their own pain and suffering. They don't realize that what they're doing in an effort to satisfy themselves, they end up hurting themselves. They're thinking too short term. Verse 7, then I returned and I saw vanity under the sun. There is one alone, and there is not a second. Yea, he hath neither child nor brother, yet is there no end of all his labor. Neither is his eye satisfied with riches, neither saith he, for whom do I labor, and bereave my soul of good? This is also vanity, yea, it is a sore travail. So somebody who is by themselves, they're just doing their thing. They don't have people around them. They don't have people to give celebrations and accolades and things for them to help them. Now, verse 9, he says, two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. So it's work together. Have people around you. Relationships make a difference. Verse 10, for if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat, but how can one be warm alone? So this is that idea of having relationships with others. Friendships, more intimate relationships is possible, but have a network, have people around you, have family, have friends that can help you. Because what good is it for you? You can build a mighty building, but if you're the only one to see it, who really cares? You need to have the ability to share with others. That's what helps increase the value of things, is when you can share with others. So have others around you. You can amplify each other and help each other, basically. So verse 13, better is verse 12. And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him. And threefold cord is not quickly broken. So again, The more people you have around you, the more you have protection, you have safety, you have opportunities. That's what they're getting at. Now, verse 13, better is a poor and wise child than an old and foolish king who will no more be admonished. A lot of value in what he's saying there, basically. In fact, Brigham Young quoted this verse and had something interesting to say in a talk once that he gave. He said, when I was baptized into this church, it was in its infancy, although a considerable number had been baptized before me, and many of them were older when they were baptized than I was. They improved, their minds expanded, they received truth and intelligence, increased in the knowledge of the things of God, and bid fair to become full-grown men in Christ Jesus. But some of them, when they had gained a little spiritual strength and knowledge, apparently stopped in their growth. This was in the eastern country, but a few years passed before the fruit trees began to cease bearing fruit. Like the fruit trees, they have ceased to grow and increase and bear the fruits of the Spirit. So a very important point for us to think about as we look in here is like he says in here, it's better to be poor, be a child that's wise and poor, than an old man who stopped learning and isn't willing to keep learning. So this is an important point for us, okay? And this happens all the time. I see this all the time. Most people learn something they think is amazing, then they spend the rest of their life defending what they've learned. The problem is when you spend your life defending what you've learned, you stop growing. Because in order for you to grow, you have to admit that what you know might not be all the truth. Maybe it's completely outright false. Maybe it's just a little false. Maybe there's just more to learn. But that's when you stop learning, when you feel like I've reached a point, I understand this, I don't need to learn anymore. That's when problems arise. We always need to be open to doubt, willing to say, here's what I believe, but maybe what I believe isn't completely true. You have to be able to do that. That's hard for a lot of people. People want that concreteness in their life. They want a sure thing that they can rely on and not have to worry about. Because it's scary to not have anything sure in your life. That's real scary. And you've got to, people, this is why people like jobs. They think it's scary to not have a job, when in fact, it isn't that different, honestly. In some ways, it's less scary because you are in control of your own job if you're self-employed. So this is what he's getting at here, is kind of like what Brigham Young talked about, again, is sometimes we get to it, we learn and get to a point and we stop learning and we don't go any further, whereas we need to be willing to keep learning, be more open-minded, and we'll keep learning. Now verse 14, it says here, for out of prison he cometh to reign, whereas also he that is born in his kingdom becometh poor. I considered all the living which walk under the sun, with the second child that shall stand up in his stead. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and vexation of spirit. So again, you can learn and you can improve, but eventually it all goes away at some point. So he's still kind of pessimistic in his ideas and his views, but helping us understand, really think through your priorities. Realize that the things of God are the things that extend beyond this life. They're the things that you can take with you that'll continue to move forward. Whereas the things of this world, like wealth, fame, assets, things like that, they're all going to go away. There's nothing to it. It's just the way it is. Somebody else is going to get all of your wealth at some point. So let's jump over anyways to chapter 5 as we continue forward.